So in functional, we have these different modules: FI, CO, HR, SD, MM, PM, PP, and the lot of modules. So as I said, every department translates to one functional module in SAP. Now, based on your role in the company, for example, if you are working in the company as an HR executive, you'll be using all the HR module related applications, HR module related tables and stuff like that. Now, we also have these technical modules: Basis, ABAP, BI, BW, XI, Enterprise Portal. So all these are your technical modules. For example, if you're trying to log in to the SAP system and you're facing some issues, or the SAP system is too slow, you're trying to open an application and it's taking half an hour to open the application. So you're facing some issues with the SAP system. Then this basis consultant will take care of fixing those problems. His role is to maintain the SAP system. So that's the basis job. Or if you join an organization, somebody has to create a user ID password for you to log into the SAP system, right? So this basis guy will do all that for you. Now ABAP is a programming language we use in SAP to develop applications in SAP. So if you're end user, the person who's using this SAP system to do his day-to-day work in the organization, if he says, I want a new report, I want to see this information, we don't have anything for that, I want somebody to develop me a new report which I can run to get this information, then as an ABAP developer, we'll be developing those programs. So our role is to develop and customize applications. So I'll be talking about that in detail in a while. The same way we have BI, BW, business intelligence, wherein if you want to process huge data and make some sense out of that data, you can use this BI module for that. Then if you have too many systems and you want to push data from one system to the other system, you want to integrate different systems with your SAP system, we have this XIPI for that. So it's more about integrating different systems and pushing data from one system to the other. Then if you want to develop web applications, then we have this enterprise portal. So portal is, EP is one module in SAP where you can use Java to develop your web applications. Since 6.0 SAP has supported this WebDyn Pro ABAP, so you can develop web applications even using ABAP now. So we no more need this portal. So talking about the different types of users in SAP, we have three types of users basically. We have end users, we have functional consultants, and we have technical consultants. End users are people who are the actual workers in your organization. For example, if you are working as a sales representative in the company, then you'll be using the SAP system to take your orders and stuff like that. So to do your day-to-day job, you'll be using the SAP system, either to take orders or create invoices, anything like that. So you are the end user, the person who's actually working in the company to do the business. He'll be using the SAP system to carry out his day-to-day activities. So if you are a HR manager and you want to see the salary of one employee, then you'll be using one application to do that. So you are the end user, HR executive. So those are the end users. So those are the people who will be actually using the SAP system in the production environment. Then we have functional consultants, people who have good understanding of these functional modules can become a functional consultant. For example, let's say you worked as an HR executive in one company for 5 years or 8 years. You understand the HR process well. You understand how the payroll is done. You understand how the benefits are calculated. You understand how leave management works. So you are familiar with all the HR process. So with that knowledge, you can learn HR functional in SAP and become a functional consultant in SAP. I'll be telling you the role of a functional consultant. Then we have technical consultants, people who have good understanding of these technical modules, be it ABAP, Basis, BI, BW, XI, they can become technical consultants. So if you're learning this course, if you're doing this course to learn ABAP, then you'll be becoming an ABAP consultant, which is a technical module. So you'll be a technical consultant in SAP, right? So for example, if the user is trying to do something and he's facing an issue, now he says, while doing the MRP run, I'm facing this issue. As a technical consultant, as an ABAP consultant, you'll be the one who will be fixing that issue. But if the user says, while doing the MRP run, I'm facing this issue, you won't understand what exactly he means by that, right? Because you are a purely technical consultant. You only understand the technical aspects of SAP. You don't understand the functional aspects, right? So as a technical consultant, I cannot interact with my end user directly because I won't be having the required business knowledge to understand what they are trying to tell me. Right? So we have these functional consultants who have a very good understanding of the business process, and they also have good understanding of the SAP system. So if the end user tells this functional consultant saying that while doing the MRP run, I'm facing this issue, since this functional consultant also understands the business, he understands what is this MRP run is and what exactly the issue is this end user is facing. So this functional consultant will understand what the business needs, what the user needs, and then he'll try to explain that same requirement in more technical terms to the technical consultant, saying that, for example, if the user is saying while doing the MRP run I'm facing this issue, then the functional consultant, the same information will pass on to the ABAP consultant, saying that what the user means is while he's running this application with this data, some data is not getting updated in this particular table, so kindly check this and make sure this data gets updated in this table. So he'll be explaining me that requirement in more technical terms, so I can understand it better. So as a technical consultant, as a pure technical consultant, we really don't need to understand business, because we always have these functional consultants who will explain us what the business needs, right? But as a functional consultant, you need to understand business. If you don't understand business, you cannot understand what the user is trying to tell you. So that's why to become a functional consultant, you should have some good domain experience. Whereas to become a technical consultant, you don't really need any domain experience, right? You should be technically sound. So you should know how to develop applications, how to fix problems, all these things. All the business terminology, if you don't understand, you can always ask your functional consultants to explain you what exactly they mean by that, right? So that's why many people get misguided. To get a job in SAP, you should have some experience. To get a job in SAP as a functional consultant, yes, you need to have some experience. Without experience, you cannot become a functional consultant. But to become a technical consultant, you really don't need to have any prior experience as such. It's not mandatory. You can be a technical consultant without any domain knowledge also. But you should be technically sound. Right? So these are the different types of users. We also have another category called techno-functional consultants, a person who has good understanding of the technical aspects of SAP as well as the functional aspects can become a techno-functional consultant. For example, you are working as an ABAP consultant, which is a technical module. Let's say you work for 3 to 4 years as an ABAP consultant. Then you can pick up any of the functional modules. You can learn any of these functional modules. When you work as an ABAP consultant, since you'll be working on these applications which are used by the business to do their day-to-day activities, you'll be gaining a lot of business knowledge in that process. You'll be understanding different business terminology, what exactly things are set, how things work, what's the relationship between a purchase order, a sales order, a billing document. So you'll be getting all this business knowledge once you start working as an ABAP consultant. So after spending 3-4 years, once you gain sufficient business knowledge, you can learn any of the functional modules. For example, you can learn SD functional module, and then since now you know the technical aspect as well as the functional aspects, you can become a techno-functional consultant, right? So the same way, a functional consultant can learn ABAP and become a techno-functional consultant. So a person who knows both the technical and the functional parts, we call them techno-functional consultants. And these days the demand is more for techno-functional consultants, because one guy can do both the jobs, right? Otherwise, the company has to recruit a separate functional consultant and a separate technical consultant. So if you know both, then they can just recruit one person and get the job done, right? So that's another option. Now coming to the role of an ABAP consultant. So since this training is more about ABAP, let's try to understand what exactly we do as an ABAP consultant. So before we understand the role of an ABAP consultant, let's try to understand what this SAP system is all about. When you implement the SAP system in your company, SAP has already developed all the required applications for you to do your day-to-day activities. So SAP has already taken care of developing different applications. For example, all the applications that I'm opening now are standard SAP applications. These applications come with the SAP system. So when you implement SAP, by default, you'll have all these applications ready. So if you implement SAP in your company and you want to create materials in your company, you don't need to do any new developments. You can simply open this application provided by SAP to create a material and you're good to go. Right? So SAP has already developed all the required applications for you to do your day-to-day activities. So we have applications for every department, every module. So the SAP software is standard business software that needs to be adapted to company specific requirements when it is implemented. The process of adapting the software is known as customizing. Now I said SAP has already provided you all the applications that you need to run your business, right? So for example, if I want to create a material, I can simply use this application to create a material. I'll select few options here. Let's say I'll input the description for this material. I'll maintain the base unit of measure. So if this application is letting me capture all the information I need to create a material, I can simply use this application. I don't need to make any more changes. But let's say I'm into designing. So for every material I create, I need to associate one art number, a design number for that material, right? So I'm trying to use this standard SAP application provided by SAP to create a material, and I don't see anywhere to input this design number. It doesn't give me an option to input a design number anywhere, right? It's asking me to enter the material group, all the other information, but I don't see anywhere it's giving me an option where I can capture this design number. That means the standard SAP application does not meet my company specific requirements, right? So I cannot use this standard SAP application. Right? But in another company, if you don't have to capture this extra information, if you capture the standard information about the material, then you can simply use this application. You don't need to make any changes to this application. Right? So changes to repository objects. Repository object means all the programs, tables, all these things are not absolutely necessary for the use of an SAP system. As I said, it's not mandatory that you should change something before you use these applications. If the application is meeting your requirements, then you can simply use that application. You don't need to make any changes. But if necessary, however, you can change individual objects. As I said, in my company requirement, I need to capture some extra information while creating the material, and the standard SAP application is not providing me an option where I can input these details. So this application does not meet my company specific requirements. Obviously, SAP cannot anticipate all these things and give all the options in the application, right? So it's an industry specific software. So when SAP has developed these applications, they said, okay, in a manufacturing industry, this is the process, the standard process they'll follow. So these are the applications they might need. So every organization will be creating materials, and this is the standard information they'll be capturing while creating the material. So let us give these options, right? But few companies will have very company specific requirements, like my company, wherein I need to capture the design number, right? Which is not provided by which I cannot do by using this standard SAP application. So how do we customize this standard SAP software then, if it is not meeting your company specific requirements? We have three options here. Changes or extensions to the repository are possible in a variety of ways. You can develop your own applications, that's customer developments. You can enhance the standard SAP applications that we call customer enhancements, or you can simply modify the standard SAP application. Okay, so either you can modify the program to meet your requirement, wherein you can go to the source code of this program. For example, this is the program for that application. So I can go to the source code of this program and I can simply change it. I can change the source code, right? So they're calling something here. So I can directly go to change mode and edit this code to capture that extra information, the design number. So that we call modification, where you're modifying the standard SAP program provided by SAP. So SAP lets you modify their programs. So once you implement SAP, you can modify if you want to. There's no restriction. All you have to do is enter the access code and you're